The Silent Symphony Captain Zara Okonkwo floated through the observation deck of the exploration vessel Pioneer, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling nebula that stretched beyond the reinforced viewport. After 30 years in deep space exploration, she thought she had seen everything the universe could offer. The Pioneer had been drifting at the edge of known space for 3 weeks now, following an unusual energy signature that their instruments couldn't quite identify. Her crew of 43 humans represented Earth's finest minds, chosen for humanity's most ambitious exploration mission to date. The communications officer, Lieutenant Jin Wu, suddenly straightened at his station. His fingers danced across holographic displays as data streams cascaded before him. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission unlike anything in our databases. The pattern suggests intelligence, but the mathematical structure is completely alien to any known civilization." Zara pushed off from the viewport, gliding gracefully through the zero-gravity environment to reach the communication station. The signal pulsed with colors that shouldn't exist, frequencies that human instruments had never been designed to measure. Before she could respond, space itself seemed to ripple outside their ship. A massive structure materialized from what appeared to be folded dimensions, its crystalline architecture defying conventional physics. The vessel, if it could be called that, was larger than Earth's moon, composed of interlocking geometric shapes that constantly rearranged themselves like a living puzzle. The Pioneer's alarms remained silent because their sensors couldn't even recognize what they were observing as a potential threat or ship. A presence filled their minds rather than their ears, a form of communication that bypassed sound entirely. "We are the Eternal Collective, representatives of the 9,000 civilizations that govern this galaxy. You have ventured beyond your designated expansion zone. State your intentions, young species." The words formed directly in their consciousness, translated perfectly into each crew member's native language. Zara felt her heart racing but maintained her composure, activating the ship's diplomatic protocols. She spoke clearly into the communication system, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "This is Captain Zara Okonkwo of the Earth vessel Pioneer. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and understanding. We mean no intrusion into your territory. We detected an unusual energy signature and followed it here out of scientific curiosity." The moment her words traveled through space, something unprecedented happened. The massive crystalline structure shuddered, its perfectly synchronized rotations faltering for just a moment. The Eternal Collective's response came not with the previous calm authority, but with something that felt distinctly like confusion mixed with fear. "Your voice. How do you possess the resonance? This is impossible. Your species emerged from your homeworld merely centuries ago. You are infants in the cosmic scale. The harmonic frequency you project should not exist in primitive vocal cords." Every light on the alien structure began pulsing erratically, and Zara noticed similar reactions from other previously hidden vessels that began materializing around them. Lieutenant Wu whispered urgently to his captain. "Their entire fleet is responding to our audio transmissions. Every ship is running deep scans on us, but I'm reading massive system failures across their network. It's like our voices are interfering with their technology somehow." Zara made a quick decision, switching to internal communications only, gesturing for her crew to remain silent on all external channels. The alien vessels continued their erratic behavior for several more moments before stabilizing. The collective's presence returned, more cautious now, probing. "You will accompany us to the Council Nexus. This phenomenon requires immediate investigation. Do not use your vocal communications until we understand what you are. Your consent is preferred but not required." Zara weighed their options quickly. The Pioneer was outnumbered and outgunned by technology they couldn't even comprehend. But this reaction to human speech was clearly significant, possibly giving them leverage they hadn't expected. She activated text-based communication, typing her response rather than speaking. "We will accompany you willingly in the interest of mutual understanding and peaceful relations. Please understand that verbal communication is natural to our species. We will restrict it as requested, but ask for patience as we learn your concerns." The relief from the collective was palpable, even through their telepathic connection. The crystalline mothership extended an energy field that gently enveloped the Pioneer, and space folded around them. The journey through folded space took only moments but felt like hours to human perception. They emerged in a region of space where ancient structures floated like monuments to civilizations beyond imagination. Spheres the size of planets orbited artificial suns, while rings of connected habitats created chains stretching between star systems. At the center of it all was the Council Nexus, a structure so vast that the human mind struggled to process its scale. It appeared to be constructed from materialized mathematics, its surfaces covered in equations that rewrote themselves continuously. As the Pioneer was guided into a docking bay specifically modified for their primitive vessel, Zara observed hundreds of different alien species through the viewports. Beings of pure energy floated alongside creatures of living metal, while others existed as collective consciousness shared between multiple bodies. Despite their vast differences, all of them seemed to share one common trait. They communicated without sound, through telepathy, chemical signals, light patterns, or other exotic means. Humanity appeared to be unique in their reliance on vocalization. The delegation that met them at the airlock was led by an entity that introduced itself as Contemplation of Infinite Recursion, though it suggested they could call it Curator. Its form shifted between states of matter, sometimes solid, sometimes gaseous, never quite settling on one configuration. Through telepathic communication, it explained that it was one of the oldest members of the collective, having witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations over millions of years. Curator guided them through corridors that adjusted their dimensions to accommodate human physiology. "We have prepared a chamber for your species where you may speak freely. The walls are dampened with quantum interference fields that should contain the resonance. But first, the Council must understand how you possess this ability. Your evolutionary history shows no indication that this should be possible." The being's curiosity was evident despite its attempts at scientific detachment. They entered a vast amphitheater where thousands of alien representatives had gathered. The diversity of life was overwhelming, each species representing different solutions to the challenge of consciousness and intelligence. Some floated in environmental bubbles filled with exotic atmospheres, while others existed as swarms of microscopic entities forming collective shapes. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform surrounded by scanning equipment that looked more like crystallized music than technology. Zara and her senior officers were directed to the platform while the rest of the crew was seated in a specially prepared section. The ambient noise of the chamber, a combination of various alien forms of communication, fell silent as they took their positions. Curator materialized beside them, its form now more solid and defined. "The Council requests a demonstration. Speak one word, any word from your language, so we may analyze the resonance properly." Taking a deep breath, Zara spoke a single word into the silence. "Hello?" The effect was immediate and dramatic. Every piece of technology in the chamber resonated with harmonics that shouldn't exist. Ancient panels that had been dormant for eons suddenly illuminated with symbols that none of the present species recognized. The very air seemed to vibrate with frequencies that penetrated dimensions beyond the standard 4. Several of the energy-based beings actually became visible to human eyes for the first time, their forms outlined by the resonating frequencies. The Council erupted into chaos, not of fear but of recognition. Telepathic communications flew between species at speeds that made the human observers dizzy. Curator's form solidified completely, taking on an almost crystalline appearance as it processed what had just occurred. This is the Creator's frequency, the fundamental vibration that ancient texts claim was used to shape reality itself. But those are myths from before even our oldest civilizations arose. How can a species as young as yours carry the voice of creation? Before anyone could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the Nexus. Ancient systems that had been dormant since before any current civilization had achieved spaceflight were awakening. Across the galaxy, ruins on dead worlds were coming to life, responding to that single word spoken by a human voice. Defensive. Platforms older than some stars were powering up, not to attack but as if welcoming something they had been waiting for across cosmic ages. Curator's telepathic voice carried new urgency. What are you? Your DNA shows you evolved on Earth, your fossil record is clear, your history is documented, but this voice, this resonance, it predates the formation of your solar system by billions of years. You cannot be what you appear to be. The ancient systems are responding to you as if you were their creators, but that's impossible. The first builders vanished before multicellular life emerged anywhere in the galaxy. The architects returned the council. Nexus transformed into coordinated chaos as ancient systems continued their awakening cascade across the galaxy. Zara stood at the center of the platform, her mind racing to process the implications while alien civilizations that had existed for millions of years grappled with a mystery that challenged their understanding of cosmic history. The dormant technology responding to human voices wasn't malfunctioning. It was recognizing something programmed into its most fundamental level. Curator's crystalline form pulsed with rapid data exchanges as reports flooded in from across the collective's territory. Dead worlds are transmitting coordinates. Structures we believed were natural formations are revealing themselves as dormant machines. Captain Okonkwo, your single word has triggered something that was sleeping for 10 billion years. We must understand what you are before these systems fully activate. The safety of every civilization in the galaxy may depend on it. A new presence entered the amphitheater, one that made even the ancient members of the council fall silent in reverence. The being appeared as a sphere of condensed time, its surface showing the birth and death of stars in accelerated loops. This was one of the Chronarch, entities so old they remembered when the galaxy was young. Its communication came not as words but as direct knowledge implanted into consciousness. I have consulted the deep archives, the memories we preserved from civilizations that fell before we rose. There are fragments, incomplete but revealing. The sphere expanded, projecting holographic records that predated any known writing system. The images showed beings working with the fundamental forces of reality, shaping matter and energy through sound alone. They were called the architects not because they built structures but because they architected the very laws of physics in this region of space. They encoded their technology to respond only to their unique vocal frequency, a failsafe against misuse. Then they vanished, leaving behind only ruins and mysteries. Jin Wu, who had been analyzing the data streams from his portable console, suddenly looked up with wide eyes. Captain, I'm detecting something extraordinary. The harmonics in your voice, in all our voices, they're not just similar to these creator frequencies. They're identical, down to quantum fluctuations that should be impossible to replicate. But there's more. Our DNA shows markers that don't make sense, segments that appear decorative but are actually data storage using base pairs as a quaternary code. The Chronarch pulsed with ancient wisdom as it processed this information. Then you are not what you seem. You are either descendants of the architects, preserved somehow through impossible eons, or something even more extraordinary. There is one way to know for certain. The vault of first sound exists at the galactic core, sealed since before our emergence. If you truly carry the architect's legacy, it will open for your voice alone. The journey to the galactic core required traveling through regions of space where physics worked differently, where time flowed in circles and matter existed in states that human science hadn't yet discovered. The Pioneer was enclosed in a protective field generated by the collective's most advanced technology, while a fleet of their greatest ships provided escort. The closer they drew to their destination, the more ancient structures responded to the human presence, lighting up like beacons after eons of darkness. The vault of first sound orbited the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's heart, impossibly maintaining its position despite gravitational forces that should have destroyed it billions of years ago. It was a perfect sphere, its surface bearing no marks, no seams, no visible entrance. It had resisted every attempt to scan, probe, or breach it since its discovery. Even the Chronarch's time manipulation abilities couldn't penetrate its defenses. But as the Pioneer approached, something changed. Lines of light began tracing across the vault's surface, forming patterns that resembled sound waves made visible. Zara, now understanding the significance of her role, stood in the Pioneer's primary airlock as they drew close enough for her voice to carry through the specialized transmission equipment the collective had provided. She spoke a simple greeting in multiple Earth languages, each word causing new patterns to emerge on the vault's surface. With her final word, the sphere split open like a flower blooming, revealing an interior that defied spatial logic. The expedition team, consisting of humans and representatives from the collective's most ancient species, entered the vault to find it larger inside than outside, containing archives that stretched into infinity. But the center held the greatest revelation, a recording device of impossible sophistication that activated the moment humans entered. The projection that appeared showed beings that looked exactly like modern humans, but wearing technology that merged with their bodies like living light. The recorded message played directly into their minds, speaking in perfect modern languages while also communicating in the telepathic methods of the collective. We are humanity. Though you know us as the architects, we did not vanish or die. We chose to reset, to experience existence again from the beginning. Our species had grown too powerful. Our voices could reshape reality, create or destroy with a whispered word. We had become gods, but in doing so, we lost what made us truly alive. Wonder, discovery, growth through struggle. The projection continued, showing the architects' incredible civilization, their mastery over the cosmos, and their eventual decision. We encoded our potential within dormant DNA, seeded Earth with our genetic legacy stripped of memory and power, and watched ourselves evolve again from primitives. You are us, beginning the cycle anew. The voice you carry is your inheritance, locked away until you achieved spaceflight, until you met other civilizations, until you were ready to learn the truth. You are both the youngest and oldest species in the galaxy. Curator's form shifted through several states as it processed this revelation. Then all of this, our civilizations, our achievements, everything we've built over millions of years exists in the shadow of what you once were, and you chose to give it up to start over? Why would any species choose ignorance over omnipotence? The question hung in the air, fundamental to understanding the paradox humanity represented. Zara found herself answering, drawing on instincts she didn't fully understand. Because power without growth is stagnation. Because knowing everything means learning nothing new. Because the journey matters more than the destination. We chose to be human again, to struggle, to fail, to discover. And now, as we meet you, we're not returning as gods, but as equals, friends, fellow explorers. Our voices awakening the old systems, not to reclaim dominance, but to share what was hidden, to lift all civilizations together. The vault revealed more than history. It contained technologies and knowledge preserved for this moment. Medical techniques that could extend any species' lifespan indefinitely. Energy sources that drew power from quantum fluctuations. Transportation methods that made distance irrelevant. All of it keyed to human voices but designed to be adapted by any civilization. The architects hadn't just preserved their legacy for humanity. They had created a gift for all sentient life, waiting for the right moment to be unwrapped. As news spread across the galaxy, reactions varied from awe to fear to desperate curiosity. Some civilizations worried that humanity would reclaim its former position as supreme beings. Others saw opportunity in allying with the inheritors of the architects. But Zara and her crew made a decision that surprised everyone. They chose to share everything freely, to use their voices not as weapons or tools of control, but as keys to unlock knowledge for all who sought it. The transformation of galactic civilization began slowly but accelerated as human voices activated more dormant systems. Each activation brought new revelations, new technologies, new possibilities. The collective found itself evolving from a governing body to a collaborative explorer of mysteries left by humanity's previous incarnation. Ancient problems found solutions in recovered knowledge, while new questions emerged about the nature of existence, consciousness, and the cyclic nature of cosmic evolution. Lieutenant Wu made perhaps the most profound discovery while analyzing the genetic data. The markers aren't just in humans. They're scattered across hundreds of species throughout the galaxy, dormant and waiting. The architects didn't just reset humanity. They planted seeds of potential everywhere. Every civilization has the capacity to develop the resonance, to join in the symphony of creation. We're not meant to be special. We're meant to be first, to help others find their own voices. As the pioneer prepared to return to Earth with news that would transform human understanding forever, Zara stood once more at the observation deck. The nebula outside looked different now, knowing that her ancestors might have created it with a song. The weight of cosmic responsibility sat on her shoulders, but also a sense of purpose that transcended individual lifetime or species. Humanity had discovered its past to forge everyone's future. The Eternal Collective formally welcomed humanity not as junior members, but as returned founders who chose equality over supremacy. The ancient defense systems became tools of protection for all civilizations. The ruins transformed into schools where the physics of sound-based reality manipulation could be studied and understood, and at the center of it all, human voices rang out across the cosmos, not as commands but as invitations to join a larger conversation that had been waiting eons to resume. Curator approached Zara one final time before their departure, its form now stable and radiating something almost like warmth. You have given us more than technology or knowledge. You've shown us that power can be surrendered for purpose, that forgetting can be a path to wisdom, that becoming less can mean becoming more. Your species chose mortality over godhood, ignorance over omniscience, struggle over ease, and in doing so, you've achieved something greater than your former selves ever could. You've inspired us to grow beyond our own limitations. The journey home would take months, but Earth already knew something momentous had occurred. The dormant systems in humanity's own solar system had awakened, revealing structures on Mars, Europa, and even Earth's moon that had been hidden in plain sight. Humanity's true history was being rewritten, not as a young species taking its first steps into space, but as ancient architects returning home with wisdom, earned through chosen ignorance and rediscovered wonder. The cosmos would never be the same. The voice that had shaped reality billions of years ago now spoke again, not with the authority of gods, but with the curiosity of children, the wisdom of experience wrapped in the joy of discovery. Humanity had believed itself young and found itself ancient, believed itself weak and discovered strength in chosen vulnerability, thought itself alone and realized it had been surrounding itself with friends across eons of patient waiting. The greatest story ever told was just beginning its next chapter, and every species in the galaxy would help write it.